Yeah, well, that's it. That's so.
We should probably talk about the pedal now.
We'll talk. Okay, we're getting lost in sound here, and it's a very happy time for the three of us because this pedal, the Halo dual echo pedal, has been in the works for. Well, we started talking about it 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Pre-heart surgery.
Pre-heart surgery.
That's right. We've all been a lot to get this pedal across the finish line, and just speaking personally, I've been a delay and reverb fanatic most of my life. Some of my earliest musical memories revolve around that kind of sound. And over the years, I've used so many different types of units to get the delay sound. Like the vintage tape echoes, the Echoplex, the old Maestro, and then even the Memory Man echoes, which I famously used two together. But that's really how it started. And then it was just this really, labor of love process of figuring out how to achieve the greatness of all those vintage units that I love so much, but to get into this one piece. And it doesn't have to do infinite things. I have a couple of sounds that I'll use instead of thousands of presets. But anyway, we got there with this particular tone that I've always talked about is the Halo, right? And the idea about that is when you have a really perfectly tuned delay sound or tape echo, what's happening is, like with the old tape echoes, the tape would become dirty or imperfectly aligned with the heads. And so it would kind of create this chorusing in that the repeats would be slightly out of tune. And so my note stays in tune, but the actual echoes got it tuned so where they just go slightly out of tune. And then the way those echoes are then feathered into each other, really creates, like you were saying, where'd the reverb go?
Yeah.
When I stopped playing, it's like.
You have a reverb pedal on that.
No, there's no. This is all we're listening to, and so that note that just stays right down the track in purity. Everything else kind of ripples out, and as you can see, the logo reflects that. It's got that nice. The way that I dial in this particular Halo sound is you've got the echo, that's that dotted eighth quarter note kind of thing.
Can we just show people what it sounds like without it?
Sure, yeah. See, it's on the echo. I can't even play guitar if I don't have that pedal.
So when we first got together with you, it was right before Rob's heart surgery. And we had never really messed with dotted eighth going in the quarter.
No, it was. I think it's a feature on the echoes, but no, we hadn't played with two delays in sync.
Okay.
And that's part of the magic. There are so many elements to your sound because you like all the effects of analog echo.
Yeah.
There's this nuance, there's that nuance, there's this modulation, there's this compression and distortion, and it's got to have all of those things of all of your favorite delays.
Yes. But that's why I'm just laughing because it's all.
That is a halo.
It is part of that. That's what gives it that ability to just, with a really great analog or tape echo, it's how that first delay, kind of gets out of the way, and then even more so with each repetition, and then just becomes this watery bed of sound, right? It's this, just creates that ripply halo, for lack of redundancy or for more redundancy. To go, and the other thing about going through this process is that it's impossible to get the level of detail and progress that we've done without being in the room together. Sometimes you might develop a product with a company and you might be sending it back and forth through the mail. So, but these guys, Keeley's in Oklahoma City, I'm in McKinney, Texas. It's only 3.5 hours. So literally, we've both driven that distance.
I think it's like 6 or 8 times. They've been back and forth.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
And but when the three of us are together, we have a great time because it's just, that's the other thing, when there's resonance just with the people that you're with, that just sends through the roof what you're able to achieve. But also when there's the passion to get it right, and you know, your genius and Aaron's ears with my ears, you know, he really hears what I'm, all the little things. Yeah, but it needs, you know, he's like, oh yeah, and he's, you know, start down. So essentially, this is never off. You know, when I'm doing gigs, it's pretty much that one sound. As you know, with some of the other modern units I was using, you know, I would have 99 presets and just use one other one, you know, which might be a slap back or some other things, and we'll get into the variety of things that this thing does. But this was really based around how to have the ultimate version of that sound I've always gone for, and then, you know, making it available to other people already programmed like I would do it, right? And you guys have done it, and I'm so thrilled because it really is my ultimate Echo unit. It's just, I remember calling you when I first got the final version, and I had a session that day, and I went and I used it, and I was just so blown away about, man, this is it, you know? Just to get... I mean, I'm so happy, and thank you guys for going through all that we've gone through.
Yeah.
Well, that was step one for sure,
Yeah.
was getting, you know, out of these 5 different rhythm modes you have. You know, we started with the halo, which is up top here.
Your sound.
And that sent us on a hunt of figuring out, you know, we knew, okay, dotted eighth going into quarter, so that helped us. But then the first time we came to Andy,
Yeah.
he has a stereo rig, and the spread wasn't there when we first started.
Right. No, but that is such a part of it, because it, you know, with like the old Memory Man, or like I say, the wonderfully out of tune tape echo, to get that right.
I mean, let's just do no modulation.
It's a beautiful sound.
Another thing, you know, because I moved the knobs, we're already on a preset, so you know, we're giving people a total of 4 presets. It says 3 down here, but we actually give them kind of a hidden 4th one, and then every preset gets 2 sounds.
Right. So you got eight saved sounds.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what's really cool is when you're on your preset, this is something Aaron Tackett, again, just our incredible engineer, we have a status light, and so when you move a knob based on the preset, this light comes on. And so we took the rate and depth down, but check this out.
So you can get back to where you were.
So as I turn the rate,
Handy dandy.
we're gonna find when the light goes off where it was. I move the depth, so as I turn the depth, I'm looking at the light here, and the depth was right there. So now let's hear.
There we go. It takes a long time to get to that exact spot too. So this is the right.
That modulation is really nice because it's not a very mechanical or robotic type
Right.
of
It
thing.
doesn't sound that way at all. It's very organic to my ear, just very natural and
It
pleasing.
is. It crossfades between the channels,
Yeah.
so you get a lot of movement in it, but it doesn't have to be overly pitchy.
Right. Exactly.
So-
Just it's just on the verge of.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of engineer versus musician type things, the ability for him to switch presets and banks on the fly without having to bend over. That's kind of a change from our Echoes Hydra, where it's like, oh, all you have to do is, you know, rub your stomach, pat your head, move this switch, and this you can do just about everything on the fly with your feet.
Absolutely.
Because it's 2 delay pedals in one. I think that's really, you know, that was one thing that from the get-go, you weren't even wanting that or expecting that. Again, it was just all about got to get the halo sound good. And then when we partnered with Tackett in the development, we were like, we can just do 2 delay pedals in one, and then how can we let him seamlessly go to the next preset? And so like right now, you know, we're on preset 1A, it's his halo sound, but we talked about, you know, he's gonna want a quarter. And so on the fly, when you press these 2 switches down, you're to the next preset, and we've, you know, set the
Sounds so
preset to a
good.
quarter. Yeah. just a simple quarter note with some light modulation.
Yeah.
But you know, we
But
talked.
it's so rich and natural.
Yeah.
That's got the halo on it, though.
It does.
This is reverb spread for the camera. When I do that, reverb spread. We've kind of created these, I mean, really a Swiss Army knife.
Really.
Right?
Starting back with that status light and knowing where your controls are, because we did so much testing back and forth. Wait, this? No, this?
Yeah.
We had to come up with a method.
Where did you have that knob?
Exactly.
I don't remember.
Yeah, right.
But we came up with plenty of other tools and tricks
Yeah.
for coaxing the most out of delays.
And part of
Like
that trick,
infinite repeat.
the infinite repeat, and then if you want, you know, to control tempo and tap it,
Yeah.
if you're on, so right now we're on 2A, you can hold the switch down, now you can tap.
Right.
It started with the dotted eighth quarter, and then we had to figure out how to create the reverb effect, kind of be able to tuck that first delay, which then that saturate.
Yeah, the saturate control is great because it gives a little bit of compression to that first note and a little bit of tape saturation to that first note so that it doesn't come out and interfere with your guitar playing and your melody.
Exactly.
And that was really critical in trying to finesse the sound so that it stayed out of his way for his melody.
Then we had to get the stereo spread good, which was the finding the modulation. And then I would say the last step was this high pass filter setting, because one thing we realized, Andy has all the good gear, and then we have just certain gear at the shop that's not like a 4x12. And we realized that, man, like if we can control that high pass filter.
That high pass filter control is really great because first we started with something that was very open. You could cut away all the bass. But then as we fine-tuned it for Andy's ears and like the response between open back cabinets, closed back cabinets, 4x12s and stuff like that, that allowed us to get it perfect. Every time we could dial in the amount of bass on the repeats,
Yes.
so that they kept out of the way again, and you could hear them, but they weren't jumbling up your music.
And it's even something that I could see where in certain rooms where certain frequencies are really overtaking, to have the flexibility to get in there and really tweak that, because you pick just the wonderful, EQ spectrum that it can really carve that stuff out that gets in the way and it gets muddy.
We've been talking about the halo, but like I said, 5 different rhythms.
Yeah. So you guys wanted to create to make sure I could have my 2 sounds, which of course the halo, that I usually had a slap back or something. So that was the first thing. Let's get a good slap back. But then you came to me and said, well, we've got 3 or 4 other things we can do. So the dotted eighth was the perfect thing because it's such a common.
I got that queued up.
Oh, you do? So that's such a. You can do the tap tempo. That's like a dun.
So if you hold it,
Yeah.
if you hold the switch,
Yeah.
so again, 4 total presets, each preset, A and B,
Great.
2 sounds.
Yep.
If you want to tap tempo, you hold this down,
Yeah.
light starts flashing.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Then you said slap back, right?
Yeah.
Oh, check this out.
It's a riff I'm working on. That sounds killer.
So you have the quarter, you have the dotted eighth, you have the halo, and then we came up with these 2 that are near and dear to you.
Well, so it was kind of like that, you get 2 extra wishes, It's like, well, I just wanted the 1 wish, but okay. So, having been such a lifelong Echo fan, there was a song called Apache. But when I first heard the song Apache, it was actually on a record by the Safaris, the guys famous for Wipeout. Of course, the most famous version was Hank Marvin and the Shadows. And he famously used an early tape echo called the Meazzi, which had a multi-tap feature. And that's just truly one of the greatest echo recordings ever, if you go back and listen to that version of Apache. So I thought, well, if I could have that patch, that would be great. So, yeah. So I mean, obviously, you can use that on so many other pieces of music, but just to replicate that old vintage multi-tap was just a blast to be able to have in the pedal. I think people are going to have a lot of fun with that one. Yeah, absolutely.
Then from there, we couldn't stop. Then
Right.
Like, what other dual delays are famous in the world?
Yeah.
You know, and then I think you came up with the Rockman one.
Yeah, so I had this wonderful old Bucket Brigade-based Tom Scholl's rack unit. That was his dual delay, but his division was a 300 and 500. And I thought, well, that's what Tom Scholl's is using, because I can't think of another guy that in the '70s optimized the old tape echoes like he did, and then made his own version of it. Yeah. And so I thought, well, I would love to hear that kind of thing too, and just. Anyway. Tom Scholl's knows a thing or two, and so these are bonus gifts for me. This is like extra credit, right. Bonus tracks or whatever. So yeah, and that sounds amazing. I've spent as much time with that. I got that. I'll be revisiting that, Pat. That sounds great.
You can save it.
Yeah, save that one. Yeah,
save it.
So you press the preset and then hold the button down.
Flashing lights. So that's preset 4 when all of them are on, and then let's do A.
Y'all need to know also that I'm controlling effect level with an expression pedal, which for my halo tone, that's another hugely important factor to really get that exact balance for every phrase that I might want.
Where's the reverb coming from? You have a reverb pedal.
It's not a reverb. I was trying to sound like Arnold, but it didn't work.
It's like Ringo and Arnold together.
It's not a reverb, John. Peace and love.
Those little teeny things make such a big difference, like the spillover and trails. You're like, no,
that's another thing too. Yeah, that's
spillover.
Yeah, to have. So you've got. I guess trails would be when you just. Yeah. If you've got go to the halo setting.
Still going.
So the trails, that means you turn the effect off and it still goes, instead of doing like a harsh cutoff. Yeah. But also when you change patches. So what do we have, the halo?
We're going to go halo into it at dotted 8.
Oh, dotted 8, okay. So it's a really important thing, because I never want, if you're creating this ambience and you hit a note, but you're going somewhere else, you want that to continue on in the most natural way it possibly can, and that's what that allows us to do.
True Robert Keeley fashion. Yeah. You were like, well, we got to give people the option to not have that too.
Right.
Okay, so you can you can also.
We didn't tell you because we didn't.
Don't tell him, he's not going to use that. Yeah. Oh, but that's good to know, though. So
if someone doesn't want trails, doesn't want spillover, maybe they want a hard chop. Yeah. I know you're like, who would want to do that?
No, but no, I know. I'm sure there's somebody out there.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. It might be Robbie, yeah. Yeah, so.
Andy, I do want to say, man, it has been a complete game changer for Keeley Electronics working with you, and your amazing ears, your sense of humor, everything that you bring to the party, your vast musical knowledge. It's just been a great way for us to all work together. It's like I get to put together all the pieces of my team to extract all this, knowledge from you on tone, and it's like it's been definitely one of the most exciting things to work on, and challenging things to work on, and most rewarding, because when I get to take it home at night and play with it on the weekend, I'm just like, wow, I got turned
You
off.
have
Like
one.
it's
Yeah. Where'd that
Only
come
on
from?
weekends, though, please. Not allowed during the week. Strictly for the weekend.
but you got to turn it off because it's like that's too good. That's like I'm gonna film myself and leak this.
Well done, man. Again, above and beyond whatever dream imaginable, but I did dream it in a way because I've been hearing this and wanting to get it to that level, and you guys were the perfect team, not only because of the expertise, but the fun we had doing it. You know, because again, about the residents of the people working on the project with that same goal of getting it to that highest point possible. If I'm going to take something off my pedal board to replace whatever I'm using, it's really got to be the next level. And this has surpassed what I thought. I had high expectations, and those were shattered through the roof. You know, just way better than I even expected it would be. And so pleased about that. And then it also does even more things that I didn't realize that I needed and wanted. But now I'm very happy that I have, you know. And now we get to share it with people, which is just an amazing honor. I'm, you know, so thankful for the opportunity to work with you on this. So thank you.